There comes a moment in everyone's life when the excuses finally lose their echo. When you look at the mirror, not as a victim of circumstances, but as the architect of your destiny. The truth is simple. You can either make progress or make excuses, but you can't do both. Excuses sound so convincing. They protect your pride, they justify your inaction, and they let you sleep at night knowing it wasn't really your fault. I didn't have time. I didn't have money. I didn't have support. But let me tell you something. Results don't care about reasons. The world doesn't reward intentions, it rewards execution. You see, the people who win in life don't wait for perfect conditions. They create them. They don't complain about the storm. They learn to sail through it. Every success story is built on 1,000 failures, 1,000 setbacks, and 1,000 silent moments where no one was watching. But they kept moving. When you focus on results, you activate a different kind of energy. You stop waiting for the ideal time, the perfect chance, or the right motivation. You get up, you act, you push, because results don't just show up. They're earned through sweat, through discipline, through sacrifice. Excuses, on the other hand, are poison. They rob you of progress inch by inch. They turn today's opportunity into tomorrow's regret. And the saddest part, you start to believe them. You start to think you're doing your best, when in truth, you're only doing what's comfortable. But real growth lives outside comfort. It's found in the early mornings when no one's cheering for you. It's found in the failures that test your patience. It's found in the relentless pursuit of becoming better, even when no one believes in you. So ask yourself, what are you chasing, comfort or change, excuses or results? Because at the end of the day, your life will be defined by one of them. Every person on this planet has a story, but not every story inspires. Some stories end before they begin, buried under excuses, fear and hesitation. The difference between those who rise and those who remain is not luck. It's responsibility. Winners take full responsibility for everything. Even the things that weren't their fault. You didn't get the support you needed. Find a way. You didn't have enough resources. Build from nothing. You failed a dozen times. Then get up 13. Because when you stop making excuses, you regain power. Power over your emotions, your direction, your outcome. Excuses hand your control to circumstances. Results take it back. Remember, the mind is a master negotiator. It will give you every reason to delay, to doubt, to stop. It whispers, you deserve rest. It says, you tried enough. But that's not your potential speaking. That's your weakness negotiating your future. Focus on results, and your standards rise. You start measuring your days not by how easy they felt, but by what you accomplished. You start asking better questions. What did I achieve today? What did I learn from that failure? What can I do better tomorrow? Success is not about never failing. It's about refusing to let excuses define your effort. Every excuse you kill makes space for a new level of growth. The truth is, no one remembers the person who almost did something great. The world remembers the ones who finished. The ones who pushed through doubt, fear, pain, and still delivered. You have that same fire. It's not missing, it's just buried under comfort. The question is, how bad do you want it? Because your results will always tell the truth about your priorities. You can say you want to change. You can say you're working hard. But if the results don't show it, It means your excuses are louder than your actions. The people who change their lives aren't superhuman. They're just done with excuses. They don't look for the easy way, they look for the effective one. They understand that greatness demands sacrifice, and that discipline will always outlast motivation. If you want to win in life, stop explaining your limitations and start expanding your efforts. You don't owe anyone excuses. You owe yourself progress. There's a brutal honesty in life that most people never face. Results don't care about reasons. You can explain, justify, and defend your situation 1,000 ways, but none of it changes what is. The scoreboard of life doesn't record excuses, it only records outcomes. The world doesn't hand out awards for trying, it rewards execution, effort, and evidence of progress. And deep down, you know it, that quiet whisper inside you, the one that speaks when the noise fades, keeps repeating the same truth. Either you did it, or you didn't. Every excuse you make is a story you tell yourself to make peace with underperformance. I didn't have the time. I wasn't ready. I didn't get the chance. They sound harmless, but they're dangerous, because they make failure feel acceptable. They turn a temporary setback into a permanent identity. The mind learns that justification is easier than discipline, and once that pattern sets in, potential dies quietly. The people who rise to greatness aren't free from struggle. They're free from excuses. They feel the same fear, face the same rejection, endure the same pressure. The difference is what they choose to focus on. Where most people see a reason to stop, they see a reason to start. When most retreat, they advance. When most complain, they create. There's a raw, unfiltered power that comes from accepting full accountability for your results. It's not comfortable, but it's liberating, because once you take ownership, nothing is out of your hands anymore. You stop being a victim of circumstances and become the author of your destiny. You stop waiting for luck and start building opportunity. You stop defending your limits and begin expanding them. Think about it. The legends of history, the icons of sport, the innovators, the change-makers. None of them succeeded because everything went right. They succeeded because they refused to let excuses dictate their destiny. When Thomas Edison failed 10,000 times, he didn't say, "It's too hard." He said, "I found 10,000 ways that don't work." When Nelson Mandela spent 27 years behind bars, he didn't emerge bitter, he emerged stronger, ready to unite a nation. When every door closed, they didn't curse the darkness. They built their own light. You can live your life defending why you couldn't, or you can spend it proving that you could. That's the choice. Excuses are easy to make because they sound logical. They sound like protection, but logic doesn't build empires. Passion, persistence, and relentless execution do. Every time you choose an excuse over an action, you trade your future for comfort. You trade potential for pity. You trade growth for stagnation. The truth is, life doesn't wait for you to be ready. It rewards the ones who move anyway. There will never be a perfect moment, a perfect environment, or a perfect chance. You create perfection through repetition, through failure, through learning. The first step is never flawless. It's just necessary. The people who focus on results understand this. They act, they adjust, they advance. When you shift your focus to results, your language changes. You stop saying, "I'll try," and start saying, "I will." You stop explaining your limitations and start expanding your efforts. You stop blaming external forces and start mastering internal discipline. Results demand that you show up, not when it's easy, not when you feel like it, but when it matters most. There's something magnetic about people who produce results. They command respect, not because they talk louder, but because they deliver. They don't need validation. Their work speaks for them. They understand that results are not luck. They are proof of consistency. They are the echoes of discipline repeated in silence, day after day, when no one is watching. And here's the part most people miss: results don't just prove to others that you can. They prove it to yourself. They build confidence from the inside out. Each result, no matter how small, tells your mind, I am capable. Each win reprograms your self-belief. Each accomplishment becomes evidence that effort works. Excuses destroy that belief. Results reinforce it. It's easy to get trapped in stories, to explain your situation so well that you forget to change it. You can become so good at describing your limits that you start to live inside them. But progress begins when you stop narrating and start creating. When you stop talking about what went wrong and start building what can go right. Results require action. Raw, messy, imperfect action. They demand energy, sacrifice, and resilience. They ask you to keep moving when it hurts, to stay consistent when it's boring, and to stay focused when distractions scream for your attention. That's where character is built, not in comfort, but in the grind. So, the next time you're about to make an excuse, pause. Feel that impulse to defend yourself, and resist it. Replace it with a decision. Ask yourself, what can I do right now, with what I have, to move one step forward? Because results aren't born from perfect plans. They're born from consistent movement. Success is a math equation written in sweat. You input effort, you output outcome. If the output isn't there, the input wasn't enough. That's not judgment. That's reality. Results are the most honest reflection of who we are, what we prioritize, and how much we're willing to pay for our goals. They don't lie. They don't sugarcoat. They don't sympathize. They simply show the truth. And here's the beauty of it. When you stop giving reasons and start getting results, people notice. Not because you spoke about it, but because you embodied it. You become an example. You become proof that it's possible. And your presence starts to inspire others to rise, to stop explaining, and to start achieving. So, let the world make excuses. Let others wait for the right time, the right mood, the right opportunity. You move. You create. You deliver. Because at the end of every day, you'll find peace in knowing that you gave your all, that you acted despite fear, that you chose progress over pity. The world respects results because results are undeniable. They speak a universal language. They don't need defense. They don't need explanation. They stand on their own. That's the standard of greatness. That's the mindset of winners. And once you embrace it, once you truly understand that results don't care about reasons, your life changes forever, because you'll stop waiting for permission and start producing proof. And that proof, that undeniable evidence of your effort, will become your power, your purpose, and your legacy. Excuses are comfort in disguise. They wrap around you like a warm blanket on a cold morning, whispering that it's okay to stay where you are, that you've done enough, that maybe the world just isn't fair. And in that moment, they feel harmless, even reasonable. But what most people never realize is that excuses are silent killers. They don't destroy your potential all at once. They drain it quietly, one justification at a time. Every time you choose an excuse over effort, you teach yourself to settle. You convince your own mind that your limits are real, that your dreams are unreachable, and that mediocrity is acceptable. It's easy to spot excuses in others, but it's hard to see them in yourself. They hide behind logic, behind emotion, behind the illusion of self-protection. You tell yourself you're waiting for the right time, but deep down, you're just afraid. You say you're not ready yet, but what you really mean is that you don't want to fail. Excuses build a wall, not to protect you from the world, but to keep you from becoming who you were meant to be. The truth is, success was never meant to be comfortable. Growth is uncomfortable. Progress is inconvenient. Discipline hurts. But excuses offer a shortcut, a mental escape route that promises relief from that pain. They make you feel justified in staying still while calling it self-care. They make you feel rational while robbing you blind of opportunity. And the most dangerous part, they make you believe you're doing the best you can. People often think failure destroys potential. It doesn't. Excuses do. Failure teaches you, strengthens you, humbles you. Excuses sedate you. They silence your ambition and feed your fears. Every great dream that never came to life didn't die because of a lack of talent or time. It died because of an excuse that sounded too convincing. You can't move forward while holding on to comfort. The path to success will always demand something from you. Time, energy, consistency, sacrifice. Excuses are the mind's way of rejecting that cost. They promise comfort now, but they demand regret later. The more you indulge them, the heavier they become, until one day you realize you're no longer stuck. You're anchored. Think about the greatest version of yourself, the version that's bold, relentless, confident, unstoppable. That person doesn't live behind excuses. That person shows up when it's hard, acts when it's uncertain, and keeps going when it hurts. You already have that person inside you, but every time you say, "I can't," or "maybe later," or "it's not the right time," you bury them deeper. Excuses are not truth. They are stories designed to protect your comfort zone. They disguise themselves as reasons, but they are built from fear. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of effort, fear of facing yourself. They whisper, "You deserve rest," when what you really need is resolve. They whisper, "You're not ready," when readiness only comes through doing. They whisper, "You've tried enough," when success is one more attempt away. You see, the difference between the people who dream and the people who do is not ability. It's accountability. The doers take ownership of their choices. They don't hide behind comfort, they chase clarity. They don't wait for motivation, they act in spite of its absence. And because of that, they grow. The dreamers, on the other hand, build castles in their minds, protected by excuses. And over time, those castles turn into prisons. Comfort feels good today, but it's costly tomorrow. Every moment spent in the arms of excuses is a moment stolen from your future self. The one who deserves more, the one who could have been more. You can't live your best life while constantly explaining why you can't start living it. The truth is brutal but freeing. Life doesn't get easier when you make excuses. It gets smaller. Imagine what would happen if you redirected the energy you use to justify your limits into breaking them. Imagine if every time you said, "I can't." You replaced it with, "I'll find a way." The shift wouldn't just be mental, it would be transformational. Because the moment you stop excusing yourself, you start expanding yourself. The people who achieve the impossible aren't fearless. They're just done negotiating with excuses. They understand that comfort is the enemy of change. They know that the pain of discipline is temporary, but the pain of regret lasts forever. And that's the truth most people never face. Regret is the price of comfort. There's a moment that comes in every journey. That point where you want to give up, where the mind starts offering perfectly reasonable reasons to stop. It's too late. You've done enough. It's not working. That's the crossroad between average and exceptional. The average listens to those whispers and retreats. The exceptional hears them and moves anyway. They've trained themselves to recognize excuses for what they are: distractions dressed as logic. Every time you choose effort over excuse, you build character. Every time you take action despite fear, you build confidence. Every time you push past comfort, you build power. The mind learns that struggle is survivable, that discomfort is temporary, and that growth is inevitable if you keep showing up. That's how resilience is born, not through ease, but through endurance. Look around you. The most fulfilled people in the world didn't get there because it was easy. They got there because they stopped waiting for it to be easy. They replaced comfort with commitment. They replaced excuses with execution. They understood that comfort is the slow poison that keeps people from greatness. So, when your mind says, "Not today," that's exactly when you should move. When it says, "You're tired," that's when progress begins. When it says, "You can't," that's when you must. Because every excuse you silence gives birth to a stronger version of you. The version built from courage, not comfort. Excuses disguise themselves as kindness, but they're betrayal. They keep you where it's safe, but also where it's small. You weren't born for safety, you were born for significance. And that significance only appears when you dare to outgrow your excuses. The truth is simple. Excuses will always be there, but so will opportunity. The question is, which one will you listen to? Because every time you choose comfort, you delay your calling. Every time you choose courage, you rewrite your story. And one day, when you look back, you'll realize that every great moment of your life began when you refused to believe the excuse and chose to act instead. Motivation is fleeting. It burns bright and fast like a spark, but discipline is the fire that never goes out. Motivation gets you started, but discipline keeps you going when everything inside you says stop. Discipline doesn't care about your mood, your energy, or your circumstances. It doesn't wait for the perfect day or the perfect mindset. It simply demands one thing: consistency. The truth is, every dream, every success, every transformation that ever existed was built not on waves of inspiration, but on the steady rhythm of disciplined action. People love motivation because it feels good. It gives you that rush of excitement, that sudden surge of belief that you can do anything. But what happens when that feeling fades? What happens when the enthusiasm disappears and the weight of reality sets in? That's where most people quit. Not because they couldn't, but because they relied on emotion instead of commitment. Motivation might open the door, but discipline walks through it every single day. Discipline is the silent power that separates the talkers from the doers, the dreamers from the achievers. It's the reason some people wake up at 5 a.m. to chase their goals while others keep hitting snooze. It's what makes one person keep training after losing, keep learning after failing, keep building after breaking. Because discipline doesn't depend on feelings. It depends on decisions. And when you master that, you become unstoppable. Think about this. Every successful person you admire has felt unmotivated at some point. They've felt tired, uninspired, even hopeless. But they showed up anyway. They put in the work because they understood that progress doesn't come from passion alone. It comes from persistence. They didn't wait for motivation to find them. They created momentum through disciplined effort. The real challenge isn't starting, it's continuing. It's easy to be excited at the beginning of a journey, when everything is new, when the vision feels alive. But after a few weeks or months, when progress slows down and obstacles appear, that excitement fades. That's when discipline takes over. Discipline is doing the work long after the mood you made the decision in has disappeared. It's choosing effort over ease, consistency over comfort, and long-term growth over short-term pleasure. Discipline is not a punishment. It's a form of self-respect. It's telling yourself that your goals are worth more than your excuses. It's proving through action that you mean what you say. Most people fail not because they lack talent, but because they lack structure. They rely on inspiration instead of intention. They want the result but avoid the routine. They crave transformation but reject repetition. But greatness hides in repetition, in doing the small things right, again and again, until they become second nature. There will be days when you don't feel like doing it. Days when your energy is gone, your motivation is silent, and your confidence is low. Those are the days that define you. Because discipline means showing up especially when you don't feel like it. Every time you do that, you strengthen your willpower. You teach your mind that your actions are not controlled by emotion, but by purpose. That's how champions are built. One choice at a time, one difficult decision after another. Motivation can inspire you, but it can also deceive you. It convinces you that you need to feel ready before you start. But the truth is, readiness comes through doing. The first step will always feel uncertain. The first attempt will always feel awkward. The first push will always feel heavy. But discipline doesn't wait for comfort. It creates it. Once you take that first step, the second becomes easier. And before you know it, consistency becomes your identity. Every time you act out of discipline, you build momentum. You turn someday into today. You replace "I'll try" with "I will." You transform chaos into structure, dreams into progress, and potential into results. Motivation may inspire others to start, but discipline inspires others to believe. Because when people see you showing up no matter what, they see proof of what's possible. There's something powerful about watching someone who lives by discipline. They don't need to announce their goals. They don't need to talk about their hustle. Their actions speak. You can feel their consistency. You can sense their control. They've built a quiet power, a calm focus that comes from knowing that progress is inevitable when effort is non-negotiable. Every successful athlete, entrepreneur, artist, or creator you've ever admired has faced the same battle. The war between desire and discipline. The desire to rest versus the discipline to rise. The desire to quit versus the discipline to continue. The desire for comfort versus the discipline for change. And every single time, the great ones chose discipline. Not because it was easy, but because they understood one timeless truth: your habits decide your future. Motivation may get you through a day, but discipline gets you through life. Motivation burns out, discipline compounds. It grows stronger with every repetition, every sacrifice, every moment of resistance you overcome. The more disciplined you become, the freer you are. Because freedom is not doing whatever you want, it's having control over yourself enough to do what's necessary. When you rely on motivation, your progress becomes unpredictable. When you rely on discipline, your progress becomes inevitable. Motivation comes and goes like the weather. Discipline is the climate you build with your habits. Motivation whispers, maybe tomorrow. Discipline answers, no, today. Motivation waits for inspiration. Discipline acts without permission. And the truth is, the people who rely solely on motivation spend their lives starting over. Every week they find a new plan, a new reason, a new burst of energy, but they never finish. Discipline doesn't chase newness, it builds mastery. It's the repetition of the right things that turns average into elite. So when the fire inside you feels dim, don't wait for a spark. Light the fire yourself. Show up. Do the work. Even if it's not perfect, even if it's small, even if no one is watching, because discipline is built in those unseen moments. The early mornings, the late nights, the silent grind. That's where confidence grows. That's where transformation begins. You don't need more motivation. You need more commitment. You don't need to feel inspired. You need to be intentional. You don't need a better mood. You need a stronger mindset. The day you understand that discipline is your greatest ally, every goal becomes reachable. Because success doesn't belong to the most inspired, it belongs to the most consistent. Discipline is the bridge between dreams and reality. It's the invisible hand that guides you when motivation disappears. It's the voice inside you that says, keep going. You made a promise to yourself. And when that voice gets louder than your excuses, louder than your fears, louder than your doubt, that's when nothing can stop you. Responsibility is power. It's the moment when you stop pointing fingers and start looking in the mirror. It's the shift from, why is this happening to me? To, what can I do about it? That single change in mindset separates the powerless from the powerful. Because when you take responsibility for everything in your life, the wins, the losses, the setbacks, the outcomes, you take back control. You stop being a passenger and become the driver. You stop waiting for someone to save you and start saving yourself. That's where real strength begins. Not in avoiding blame, but in owning everything that shapes your path. Most people never reach their potential because they spend their lives blaming circumstances. They blame the economy, their parents, their environment, their luck, even the weather. And while all those things may influence your journey, they don't define it. What defines your life is how you respond. Responsibility doesn't mean everything is your fault. It means you claim the power to change it. The moment you accept that your outcomes are your responsibility, the world stops controlling you. You stop reacting and start creating. It's easy to complain. It's easy to find reasons why you couldn't or shouldn't. It's easy to say, I tried, but, and feel like you've done enough. But responsibility doesn't allow room for but. Responsibility says, if it didn't work, I'll learn and try again. It says, if I failed, I'll fix it. It says, if I'm not where I want to be, it's on me to change that. That's power, raw, unfiltered power, the kind that builds character, resilience, and results. People confuse responsibility with burden, but they're not the same. A burden weighs you down. Responsibility lifts you up. When you take ownership of your life, you stop carrying excuses and start carrying purpose. You realize that you don't need perfect conditions to win. You just need accountability. Because accountability is the seed of transformation. Once you plant it, every action grows from it. There's freedom in owning your life. It might sound heavy, but it's actually lightening, because the moment you stop blaming, you stop waiting. You stop waiting for opportunities, for motivation, for someone's approval. You stop waiting for life to get easier and start getting stronger instead. Responsibility is the ultimate form of liberation. It breaks you free from the illusion that life owes you something. The truth is, no one's coming to fix it for you. No one's coming to push you, to heal you, to make you act. You have to do it yourself. The world doesn't reward excuses, it rewards accountability. Every leader, every visionary, every champion you admire, they all share one thing: ownership. When things go right, they give credit. When things go wrong, they take responsibility. That's why they rise. That's why they lead. Because responsibility isn't about fault. It's about focus. It shifts your attention from what's outside your control to what's within it. You can't grow while you're blaming. Blame keeps you stuck in the past. Responsibility pulls you forward. The more you point fingers, the less power you hold. Because every time you say, "It's not my fault," you hand your control to someone else. You give them the keys to your progress. But when you say, "It's my responsibility," you take those keys back. You become the author of your next chapter. The truth is, life will always test you. It will challenge you, frustrate you, and sometimes break you. But that's not an invitation to quit. It's a demand to rise. Responsibility gives you the courage to face those tests without fear. It says, "Yes, it's hard, but it's mine to handle." It says, "I may not control the storm, but I control my sail." That mindset transforms obstacles into opportunities. It turns setbacks into setups for growth. Look at the strongest people you know. They've all been through something. They've all faced situations that could have broken them. But instead of asking, "Why me?" they asked, "What now?" That's the difference. Responsibility doesn't ask for pity, it demands progress. It doesn't dwell on what went wrong, it asks, "What can I make right?" Responsibility is also the foundation of trust. Trust in yourself and from others. When people know you'll own your actions, they believe in you. But more importantly, when you know you'll own your actions, you start believing in yourself. You stop second-guessing. You stop hiding behind fear. You develop a quiet confidence that says, "No matter what happens, I can handle it." And that confidence is unshakable, because once you realize that your life is entirely in your hands, no one can take that away from you. No setback can define you. No failure can destroy you. You become resilient, adaptable, and relentless. You start viewing problems as puzzles to be solved, not punishments to endure. There's something deeply empowering about saying, "I'm responsible." It's not weakness, it's ownership. It's you standing tall and saying, "I choose to take control." Even when it's not your fault, you take responsibility. because it's your life, your dream, your destiny. That doesn't make you a victim. It makes you a creator. Imagine a world where everyone took full responsibility for their actions, for their choices, their effort, their mindset. There would be less complaining, less comparison, less waiting. There would be more progress, more purpose, more peace. Because the truth is, when you hold yourself accountable, everything changes. Your relationships improve. Your focus sharpens. Your self-respect multiplies. You stop living reactively and start living intentionally. Responsibility transforms your pain into power. It takes every mistake, every failure, every scar and turns it into a lesson. You stop asking, "Why did this happen to me?" and start asking, "What is this teaching me?" That's where growth happens. Not in the excuses, but in the ownership. Not in the blame, but in the breakthrough. So, when things fall apart, when plans fail, when people disappoint you, when life feels unfair, resist the urge to point outward. Look inward. Ask yourself, what can I control? What can I do next? How can I rise from this? Because those questions lead to solutions, and solutions lead to strength. Responsibility is not about perfection. It's about progress. It's about showing up for your life, even when it's hard, even when it's unfair, even when it's lonely. It's about saying, "This is mine to manage, mine to learn from, and mine to change." And when you start living that way, you stop waiting for the world to give you power, because you already have it. At the end of the day, responsibility is not a burden to carry. It's a crown to wear. It's the sign of maturity, leadership, and self-mastery. It means you no longer depend on the world to shape your fate. You shape it yourself. And once you do, once you accept that everything in your life begins and ends with you, you become untouchable. You become unshakable, because responsibility isn't just power. It's freedom. When you aim for perfection, you aim for something that doesn't exist. The idea of perfection is seductive. It whispers that one day you'll feel completely ready, that one day all the stars will align, that one day you'll take action without fear or flaw. But that day never comes. The people who wait for perfection end up waiting forever. They wait while opportunities fade, while their potential turns to regret, and while others, less talented but more persistent, pass them by. Progress, not perfection, is what shapes greatness. Because progress is movement, and movement is life. Perfection is a fantasy that traps you in hesitation, but progress is the discipline that sets you free. Every great achiever started imperfectly. Every success story began with uncertainty, with shaky steps, with countless mistakes. The difference between those who succeed and those who stop isn't talent, it's momentum. Progress is about the willingness to move forward, even when you're scared, even when you're unsure, even when you don't have all the answers, because progress doesn't demand perfection. It only demands persistence. Every time you take a small step, you push the limits of who you are and expand the borders of what's possible. That's how transformation happens. Not in one perfect moment, but in a series of imperfect, courageous moments. You see, perfection is a mask. It pretends to be a standard of excellence, but it's really fear wearing a disguise. The fear of being judged, the fear of failing, the fear of not being good enough. When you chase perfection, you chase the approval of others. When you chase progress, you chase your own growth. And that's the only race that matters, because no one will remember how flawless you tried to be. They'll remember how far you came, how resilient you were, how you kept showing up even when it wasn't easy. Progress tells a story that perfection can never write. Think about the moments in your life when you grew the most. Were they perfect, or were they chaotic, uncomfortable, and uncertain? Growth is rarely pretty. It's messy, it's demanding, it tests your patience and your confidence. But it's also beautiful because it's real. Every failure teaches you something perfection never could. Every setback humbles you, strengthens you, and prepares you for what's next. The pursuit of progress means embracing imperfection, not as a weakness, but as proof that you're in motion. The only people who never make mistakes are the ones who never try. Perfectionists often live in fear. Fear of being seen, fear of being wrong, fear of not measuring up. They edit their dreams before the world ever sees them. They keep rewriting, reworking, rethinking, until the spark of creation dies. Progress is the opposite. Progress means putting your work out there, even when it's not ready. It means learning through doing, improving through failure, evolving through action. It means saying, "I'll get better next time," and actually doing it. Because the truth is, nothing ever starts perfect, but everything can become extraordinary when you commit to improving it. The human mind craves completion, but it also fears exposure. That's why perfection is such a powerful trap. It convinces you that you're protecting yourself, when in reality, you're paralyzing yourself. Progress, however, is freedom. It's the understanding that you don't need to have it all figured out before you begin. You don't need to be the best. You just need to start. Every great artist, leader, or innovator began somewhere uncertain. They didn't wait until everything was perfect. They acted. They stumbled. They learned. They evolved. And that evolution became their greatness. If you want to achieve something extraordinary, focus on progress with relentless energy. Set goals, but don't obsess over the distance left. Celebrate the distance covered. Each small win builds confidence. Each day of consistency creates momentum. Momentum is the invisible force that transforms small efforts into massive results. The ones who master momentum never stop because they've learned the secret success doesn't come from one perfect move. It comes from thousands of imperfect ones. Let go of the idea that you need to impress anyone. You're not here to prove you're perfect. You're here to prove that you can grow. Every challenge you face, every mistake you make, every setback you overcome, it all adds to your evolution. When you focus on progress, you become unstoppable because you're no longer afraid to fail. Failure stops being a threat. It becomes a teacher. You begin to understand that failure is not the opposite of success. It's the foundation of it. There's a reason why the most successful people in the world call themselves lifelong learners. They don't chase perfection. They chase improvement. They don't seek validation. They seek mastery. And mastery is built one imperfect step at a time. That's why progress is so powerful. It transforms effort into excellence. When you stop fearing imperfection, you start creating with freedom. You start living without limits. You start realizing that the real goal isn't to be flawless, it's to be fearless. So move forward. Even if it's messy, even if it's uncertain, even if you're scared. Keep learning, keep building, keep improving. Because progress is what makes you alive. It's what separates those who dream from those who do. And when you look back, you'll realize something profound. Perfection was never the goal. Growth was. every scar, every flaw, every imperfect step, it all becomes part of your masterpiece. The journey is never about being perfect, it's about being better than you were yesterday, because perfection ends where progress begins. Keep moving, keep growing, and let your imperfections tell the story of your strength. Pain is not your enemy, it's the silent architect of your strength. The world teaches you to avoid pain, to escape discomfort, to chase only pleasure and ease. But the truth is, every ounce of greatness has been carved through struggle. Every champion, every visionary, every legend has walked through fire before they ever stood in light. Pain is not here to punish you. It's here to prepare you. It's not here to destroy you. It's here to define you. The way you respond to pain determines who you become. Most people run from it. The few who rise embrace it. Because they understand something others don't. Pain is the tuition you pay for transformation. When life hurts, that's not a signal to stop. It's a signal to grow. The pain you feel is proof that you're alive, that you're moving, that you're evolving. It's the universe's way of sharpening your edges, testing your commitment, and seeing if you really want what you say you want. The easy path never made anyone powerful. Comfort creates weakness. Adversity creates warriors. Every moment you choose to push through pain, you build mental armor. You teach your mind that you're in control, not your emotions, not your fears, not your circumstances. That's where power begins, with the refusal to surrender to suffering. Think of the strongest version of yourself, the one who doesn't break under pressure, who doesn't back down from challenges, who stands tall when everything falls apart. That version of you is not born in calm seas. It's forged in the storm. Pain is the fire that burns away everything fake, everything fragile, everything temporary. What remains is real, resilient, unshakable. When life hits you, when the world feels unfair, when the weight becomes unbearable, remember this isn't happening to weaken you, it's happening to wake you up. Some people see pain as the end, but those who rise, they see it as the beginning. Every setback is an invitation to evolve. Every heartbreak carries a hidden lesson. Every failure hides a message written in struggle. You're not done yet. Pain teaches patience. It teaches empathy. It teaches gratitude. It teaches you what truly matters. It strips away ego and pride, revealing the core of who you are. Without pain, there's no depth, no humility, no real growth. Comfort may feel good, but it doesn't make you better. Pain does. The greatest mistake people make is trying to numb it. They drown it in distractions, in excuses, in temporary pleasures. But pain avoided is pain multiplied. The more you run, the stronger it grows. The more you resist, the more it chases you. But when you face it, head on, unflinching, you take away its power. You turn pain from an enemy into an ally. You use it as fuel, as energy, as a reason to fight harder. Because pain is energy, and energy can be redirected. When you transform that energy into action, you stop suffering and start succeeding. Every struggle has purpose. Every dark night leads to a dawn. When you're in pain, you're being refined. The fire doesn't destroy gold. It purifies it. And you are gold. Every time you endure, you're becoming more valuable, more grounded, more unstoppable. The key is to change your relationship with pain. Don't say, "Why me?" Say, "Try me." Don't ask, "When will this end?" Ask, "What is this teaching me?" When you change the question, you change the meaning. And when you change the meaning, the pain transforms into progress. The ones who thrive in life aren't the ones who had it easy. They're the ones who refused to quit when it was hard. They took their heartbreak and turned it into art. They took rejection and turned it into ambition. They took failure and turned it into wisdom. They didn't waste their pain. They worked with it. They didn't let it break them. They let it build them. You can do the same. Every painful chapter in your story can become a lesson, a reminder, a source of strength. The pain you feel today can become the reason someone else finds hope tomorrow. Remember, diamonds are created under pressure. Muscles grow by tearing and repairing. Trees grow deeper roots in the storm. And you, your mind, your spirit, your soul, grow stronger through adversity. That's how nature works, and you are part of that same law. You cannot evolve without resistance. You cannot become exceptional without endurance. So instead of resenting your pain, start respecting it. It's not there to stop you. It's there to shape you into the person capable of handling what you've asked for. There's a moment in everyone's journey when the pain becomes too much, when the temptation to quit becomes louder than the will to continue. That's the moment that defines you. That's the moment when most people walk away, and the few who don't become legends. If you can stand tall in that moment, if you can keep pushing when your heart is heavy, when your body is tired, when your mind screams for relief, you'll discover a new version of yourself. A version that cannot be broken because it's already been tested. So when life burns, don't curse the fire, use it. When you're rejected, don't hide, rise. When it hurts, don't stop, grow. You have survived everything you thought would destroy you, and that's not an accident. That's proof. Proof that your pain is not punishment, it's preparation. Every scar is a lesson written in survival. Every struggle is a seed for your strength, and one day, when you look back, you'll realize that the pain you hated was the teacher you needed most. The difference between the weak and the powerful isn't who felt pain, it's who used it. Some let it consume them, others let it transform them. The question isn't whether you'll face pain, it's whether you'll let it make you better or bitter. Choose better. Choose growth. Choose to take the hardest parts of your story and turn them into the most powerful parts of your legacy. Because the truth is, pain doesn't define you, your response does. And when you decide to rise from it, you don't just survive, you evolve. So from this moment forward, make a promise to yourself, no more excuses. Not for your circumstances, not for your past, not for your fear. Focus on results, because that's where confidence is built, in the actions that no one sees but everyone feels. Let the world doubt you. Let the circumstances challenge you. But never let your own mind convince you that you can't. You are capable of more than you've ever done, stronger than you've ever felt, and closer to success than you think. Every excuse you let go of brings you one step closer to your potential. Every small win, every disciplined day, every relentless effort, it all counts. Stop telling yourself why you can't. Start proving why you can, because in the end, life doesn't care about your reasons. It rewards your results. This is Wisdom in Minutes audiobooks, reminding you, excuses build nothing, but results build empires.